So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Tesco and Iceland bosses warning over Christmas shortage supplies. So we have talked about some of this stuff to an extent before. I think it's just important to kind of reiterate how bad the problems are when you've got, supermarket bosses coming out, not just industry experts, but also the people who run these shops saying, look, we have huge problems here and we might face shortages. And obviously these companies know that if they announce these things, what they're going to have is another problem of people stockpiling, which is going to cause a further shortage, a shortage on two ends really, of they can't get a lot of stuff into the store, and whatever they can get gets bought up by, clowns who want to stockpile essentially. The boss of Supermarket Iceland says the supply chain chaos is getting worse just as retailers are planning for the key Christmas period. Richard Walker told the BBC he estimated the UK's lorry drivers are about 100,000 short, with the company about 100 drivers itself short. And they're struggling, they're just short 100 drivers, and Iceland is a huge company, and that shortage is hitting them very badly. And Iceland is a company that can pay higher wages. It's a huge, national supermarket. So it's not just a case of paying higher wages. I would wager that if Iceland isn't doing that, they should really be doing that. And if they are struggling to compete with other companies, which is better for the lorry drivers, but at the same time for consumers, it's not a great situation when we're going to face further shortages. But it's neither here nor there. You could have a system where lorry drivers are paid properly and we don't live in a country with shortages, but that's just down to the governments that we've had. So Tesco boss John Allen said there may be some shortages, but people should not over dramatise and panic buy. If you don't want people to panic buy, then don't say anything. It's very easy to make a drama out of a modest crisis. It's a bit more than a modest crisis, though, isn't it? I've seen the pictures of shops running out of stuff. I've seen it myself, and I'm sure you listening now, if you're in Britain, you've also seen certain products you could have gotten before that you are unable to get now. The continuing shortage of HGV drivers is starting to make retailers nervous as they start planning for the key trading period. Not to mention the fact that there are problems within meat processing, I think vegetable processing, and also on the farms as well. This is not just a shortage of HGV drivers; it's a shortage across the board. The government said there was a highly resilient supply food chain and it was taking measures to tackle the driving shortage. They're not doing anything though, are they? They're trying to change the rules around, like who can pass driving tests and whatever. They're trying to rejig it, but that's not going to be enough, is it? Mr. Walker said the reason for sounding the alarm now is that we've already had one Christmas cancelled at the last minute. He said, I'd hate this one to be problematic as well. I mean, the Iceland guy I get, but the Tesco man shouldn't be saying anything if he doesn't want people to start panic buying, because people will read an article like this and start panic buying because they're going to think if I don't get all this stuff now, someone else will buy it and it will all be gone. That I won't get access to it. That's what's going to happen. So this Tesco guy, not the brightest one. If panic buying is what he's trying to avoid, obviously panic buying does help Tesco's to an extent because more people buy up the stuff quicker. It's more money for them. They can put the prices up. He said we start to stock build from September onwards, but what is a hugely important time of year, he added, we've got a lot of goods to transport between now and Christmas, and a strong supply chain is vital for everyone, which is something we really do not have right now. See, who is this one? Mr. Walker saying we've had deliveries cancelled for the first time since the pandemic began, about 30 to 40 deliveries a day. So people who want to blame the pandemic for it, it's not going to work out, is it? They've had deliveries cancelled for the first time since the pandemic began, 30 to 40. That would be most likely this year, not last year, because if it was last year, they would have said a lot more about it, wouldn't they? The simple solution, he said, was for heavy goods vehicle drivers to be added to the UK's skilled worker shortlist to help get drivers recruited from overseas. But as many commenters have pointed out, that's simply not going to work because even though the money's better, there's no guarantee of how long they can stay here for. And even if they want to come back to the UK, because we've treated these people very badly, why would they want to come back? These men and women, these HGV drivers, have kept the show on the road for 18 months during the pandemic, and it's criminal what we're not viewing them as skilled workers. I mean, to be fair, you never paid them as skilled workers, though, did you? So, let's not start trying to pretend that you guys think that, supermarkets think lorry drivers are heroes because you guys have been paying them a pittance. That's one of the reasons we're in this mess. Asked if Brexit is responsible for the supply chain problems, Mr. Walker responded, "I think so, but it's a self-inflicted wound rather than an inevitable consequence of Brexit caused by the government's failure to appreciate the importance of HGV drivers and their work they do for us," which is true. The government should have put them on the shortage skilled list from the start, but the issue is, without freedom of movement, they're still going to have issues when they get to the UK, and these are issues they wouldn't face in other countries. So why would they want to come here if they can go to another country where the money's, might not be as good in the UK, but if you can have a better quality of life, I think that's more and more important to people nowadays. If you can live a semi-comfortable life, I think people would take that over, getting slightly more money but having a way more stressful life, where, especially where you have to pay NHS surcharges and things like that. No one's going to want to do that, are they? Mr. Allen said that normally the supermarket industry will start building stockpiles readiness for Christmas, but at the moment we are running very hard just to keep on top of existing demand. I mean, they're failing to keep on top of existing demand because we've seen shortages already. So you combine that with Christmas and you're going to have a much worse situation. He goes on to say there isn't capacity to build stocks that we would see what we'd like to see. So what he's saying is we're barely managing as is, which is true that they are barely managing because we've seen shortages. And then he's like, we can't stockpile for Christmas. So that means there will be a crisis at Christmas, essentially. He said, like all its rivals, Tesco's was very short of drivers. They're offering, I think it's £1,000 signing on bonuses and things like that. But even that's not enough for Tesco's. Steve Murrows, chief executive of the cooperative group, warned that current food shortages were at the worst level than he's ever seen. He told The Times that the co-op has significantly reduced its range of some products to help serve customers. Like, that's how bad it is. You can't get access to the stuff you would normally want because of the shortages. Mr. Murrows said the disruption to supply chain had been driven by Brexit and the issues caused by COVID. The firm was retraining staff as lorry drivers to help fill vacant roles. So they've got people who would maybe be managers or work, on the shop floor, and said to them, "Look, can you be a lorry driver for us? Because that's how bad the situation is right now." I mean, that's just. I mean, for the staff. I mean, if the supermarket pays for their driving test, that's great. That's phenomenal for them. It's a much better avenue that's been opened up for them potentially. But it does show you how kind of desperate these supermarkets are, that they're willing to move staff from the shop floor into becoming lorry drivers, and they would have to try and help pay them along the way. Otherwise, the staff won't want to do it. That's how desperate the UK has become for lorry drivers. A government spokesperson said we have a highly resilient... Oh, I'm not going to read that again. They said, we have a well-established ways of working with the food sector and are working closely with them to ensure businesses have the labour they need. But they don't, though. They don't have it on the farms. They don't have it in the processing places. They don't have it in the lorries. I think even supermarkets are struggling for staff as well. They don't have the staff they need anywhere. So what are you guys talking about? Tesco's been offering lorry drivers a £1,000 bonus amid a chronic shortage. I mean, they're still having a driver shortage now, even though they're offering bonuses and higher wages, which tells you how chronic the shortage is. There's a bit more. Toy retailer boss Gary Grant said, "What is unique to us is that Christmas is a fixed date, so we're under extreme pressure at the moment to move as much stock as we can, but are significantly behind with the shipment of products." They know that they know the target date for Christmas, the 25th of December, and they know that they need to get a lot of stuff in way before then, so people can buy the stuff they want earlier on. And from October onwards, I don't know how Christmas works. Again, I don't celebrate it, but you want to get the presents in earlier than, say, December, for example, or at least early in December. And if the shops don't have the stock, you can't buy it. So they are trying to mitigate it, but it's not enough. The steps the industry have taken are not enough, and they're begging the government, "Please help us." And the government are like, "No, good luck, bro." There's not a shortage of toys, but what will happen when we get nearer to Christmas? The suppliers will not have a backup stock that we've previously relied on, so the range of stock we may have will be narrower. He warned that popular toys such as Paw Patrol, Barbies, and rainbow corns, I've never heard of those. I don't want to know what that is. Could be in short supply, and it might go to the case where, because we've heard of stories of companies competing with each other, where, say, Tesco's wants to poach drivers from the toy retailer, and what happens? They take the stuff from the toy retailer place, and they can't get the drivers in to get their stock to those shops. And so what you'll have is Tesco's having drivers to get food on shelves, but when people want to buy toys from this outlet, they can't buy them because there are no drivers taking them there. So all you're having is a system where instead of having more drivers trained up in close enough time, what you're having is drivers just being shuffled around because they're being offered, huge bonuses by one company. Maybe they'll work there for a while and then they move on. Stuff like that, really. And that's going to further cause problems. All you're getting is musical chairs at this point. And the government are of little help to these industries, which is sad. But, what did you expect from a government that doesn't really care about anyone apart from their donors? But even then you could argue maybe they don't even care that much about the donors, considering that businesses are struggling across the board. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.